Hey, this is Irene, CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends. We're back with another recap here. We're talking 90 Day Fiancé, and this time it's a spinoff, The Single Life. 90 Day fans, you guys know 90 Day Fiancé is a reality show that follows couples, one person from the U.S. and the ones from another country. They come together. Well, with Single Life, all the relationships that didn't work out, these are like the remnants of the people left, and they're trying to find somebody. So that's what Single Life's all about. Let's get into, I'll say, Gino and Natalie. Let's start with them first. So they start off the day with coffee and end up in an escape room. Now, the other night, Natalie's friend was like, hey, I don't know if Gino's cool like that. You know, he said that he was kind of chatting up other women online. So maybe you need to look into that, because I don't really like the guy. So as they're in the escape room, he's trying to redeem himself from the situation from last night with the friends. And Natalie knows what he said to her friend, but she's saying, I'm gonna wait and just let him confess and share on his own. So when they go to the escape room, the mission is they're like FBI agents, and they have to go raid this bar and find this evidence, and then they can get out. So I've never been in an escape room, so it was kind of cool to see how it was set up, and it looked like an empty bar. They found all the clues, and once they figured everything out, on the screen it says you've escaped. So for me, I just had a different idea of escape room. I would feel like the door would unlock or bust open or something, and then you were free, but it just came up on the screen. So I don't know. To me, that's a bit lackluster. I need somebody to come in, or I don't know. I need like a big hoorah and, maybe food, drinks, and a celebration afterwards. That should be part of the, escape room experience. But anyway, they realized they made a good team figuring everything out and getting out of the escape room. So they started talking. And she wants to know if he's real, if this is a game. So, she finally just straight up asked him, but she did it in a decent way. She wasn't angry, but she was like, have you been talking with other women? And he hums and haws, and that really gets her upset, because he's not straight up just telling her the truth and the facts. So she's like, you know what? I'm going home. She's upset. She's like, I'm going home. She's devastated at his response of not coming clean and just humming and hawing around. So that's an indication of the type of guy he's going to be in a relationship. If there's some indiscretions or some things going on that aren't right or not good, he's not going to just confront it head on. He's going to be kind of weak about it. So that's a bad sign right there. But he does chase her, and he's like, well, why did you suddenly get upset with me? And she's basically saying she doesn't have time to waste. You don't have the guts to, just straight up tell me what's going on in your life, what you're doing. She's like, we're grown. We don't have time to just play these games. You should be able to be straight up with me. Just be a man about it, and not just be this type of go with the flow situation and see what happens. So after all of that prying, he says, yeah, I've been talking to a few girls, but it's not exclusive. He's saying, we're not exclusive. And she's like, well, I'm not trying to say we're exclusive, but are we going to at least give each other a chance in this process? Or are you already kind of looking for other people in the midst of what we have going on? She feels like, he's kind of dishonest. He failed basically the test that she set forth for him. And she's saying bye, Gino. And Natalie is the opposite of Jasmine for him, because he's still miffed about even what happened. He doesn't understand what he did wrong, and he doesn't know where they stand. But she's like, I have to go to work, so he has to get himself an Uber or whatever to go back on the plane. I guess it's time for him to go home. So he's still like, I'll see you later. And she's like, okay, but she's really not going to see him later. And again, he says he doesn't know where he stands, since he can't read her. And she's not going to straight up yell at him and tell him. I don't think you should have to do that with the guy. If you do, then that's not the guy for you. Now, some women like Jasmine, that's the type of thing they want. They want to have to. I can't really say that because she's not with him either. But ladies, we want, or should I say guys, we want someone that's sure, honest, confident in whoever they are. If you have issues, be confident and say, hey, I do realize I have these issues. I am doing this. I am doing that. I'm a grown man. I can say and do as I please. At least be man enough to do that. Let us know you're not going to respect us. Don't try to trick us and game us. And at the end of the day, you're playing behind our backs. But sadly, it looks like Natalie may be giving Gino another chance. And Gino may be realizing what he may have lost. I don't know. I don't know if Gino's worth another chance. But I can't say I saw him do anything, at least during these episodes, in which he just completely disregarded her in the relationship. But he has his options open, very open, way open, and she's aware of that. So now let's go to Tony and Vanya. They're actually on their first date. They've been hanging out for years, but finally making it on their first date. She's trying to see, she has a little test for him as well. He's showing her affection. He's taking charge. She wasn't really happy that he was a little bit hesitant when she was asking, where do we stand? What are we? She's hoping that he'll open up about the divorce. She just wants to know the situation of how that took place. So, he brings the flowers. He has her in the race car. He's putting his hand in her lap. He kisses her hand. He gets the door, and they're going on this boat tour. So everything's looking good. The things on her list are checking off. He's showing the confidence. He's being chivalrous. And he's showing affection, all these things. And so she asked him about the marriage question. And he said it became a long distance marriage that fizzled out. And he said, he went to counseling and everything. And that put her to ease because she didn't want to think that his short-lived marriage was just him going from one woman to the next. The fact that at least he went to counseling and he tried to continue to make it work even though it wasn't working. And he was saying basically they weren't on the same page. On paper they looked good, but what they wanted in life and love and all that just didn't match up. So then she asked about, what about taking me to Key West? He really didn't make a move on her there, but he supposedly had a girlfriend at the time who was living with him. So she wanted answers about that scenario. And he says at the time, well, we weren't really dating, so I didn't feel like I had to tell you about my romantic life. But yeah, you took another woman all the way to another location out of town. So, I mean, what does that look like if you're supposed to be dating someone else? So that looks weird. He said we were just friends. There was no labels. And, she just doesn't want the confusion of, okay, what are we? Because she's had these guys play coy with her, send mixed messages, no labels, no strings. And then they would do all these things with her. But at the end of the day, they never had the intention of being with her, or they maybe had the intention of being with her and others. So she wants to make sure she knows where she stands. And I completely get it. At first, I thought she was being a bit pushy, but in a way, I understand where she's coming from. But sometimes that pressure that you might put on someone at that moment may cause them to say something and do something and be something that maybe you want at the moment, but maybe they're not there yet. So in a way, I understood where she was coming from, but in a way, I felt like this is your first date. I mean, at least give it the first few dates. I know you guys have been friends for a long time. You went to Key West together, all of that. But give the guy a few dates in the romantic arena before you start pushing, oh, what are these labels? Are we boyfriend and girlfriend? So finally, he said yes, and they shared some kisses. She says she's happy. And, they were just holding each other on the boat. It looked somewhat romantic, but he looked a little bit miffed and a bit scared, like he had to do what she said on some level. Now, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully this works for Vanya, but I understand her pushiness, but I also feel like it was a bit rushed, and she should have waited at least, I'll say, to date 3 or 4 to ask him these questions. Just because you've been friends, it's different when you get into the romantic territory. And the first time they met up was maybe not an official date, but this was their first official date. And I just think it was too fast for her to push all that. It looks good. They look like they're happy at the moment, but we'll see if that's going to last. So Julia set up this meeting with Sophie and Pedro. They've been on the outs with each other because he basically figures that she doesn't really want to commit or be with him. And she's looking at other guys, also still trying to get over her ex-husband. So he's like, she's really not feeling me. Why is she even here type of scenario. So Sophie's trying to prove that that's not the case. So when Pedro arrives, he gives her this like kind of off hug. She comes up to hug him. I think she's trying to take the initiative and make everything better because it's kind of on her at this point. But Pedro to me was a little bit irrational, especially the way he threw Liz under the bus. I don't like that. But I do see where he's coming from, where he's not feeling the connection that they once felt in the beginning of whatever their courtship was. So when he hugs Julia, which is her friend, he gives her a nice, good hug. I don't know if he's trying to make Sophie jealous or mad or whatever, but I could see that right away. He was acting funny, acting real funny, barely really responding to Sophie and just giving more to Julia when they were talking. And he basically said he's not begging for love. And Julia says, this is my therapy session here. I want you guys to start off fresh. And she's asking questions like, what's wrong and all of that. And she says, she just wants to get to know him. She doesn't want the pressure. Just let's take our time and figure each other out. And he was worried about her talking to other guys and saying, well, that looks like that's what you wanted to do. And why are you attracted to me? I think was his question. And she said, well, I was attracted to you because you were laid back, funny, chill. And, it wasn't all that pressure. So then he apologizes and, he says he understood the timing wasn't right for her at this moment, for her to just jump right into this relationship. So he's going to slow down and they just want to go out and have a fun date and have a good time. So congratulations to Julia. It looks like her therapy session worked pretty well. So here they go. They're on a date. And they're riding horses on the beach. I mean, that's kind of like something you see in a love novel, dream date. And Sophie's like liking this situation. She's like, I'm on a horse. He roots for her as she gets on her horse. I mean, it was a nice moments they were sharing here. Now the horses are walking in the water. And I'm like, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. But I'm not a water person and I don't know how to swim. But I guess they were walking close enough to the shore where it wasn't going to be an issue. I think he was saying something about the view was stunning and he said she was stunning as well. So she's getting compliments. And after they get off the horses, actually the horses start kissing each other, which I thought that was really cute. So then they're still on the beach hanging out. And for some reason, I think he was looking at her backside, checking her out. She's like, what are you doing? So he just basically says what he was doing. And then he was like, do you want to see mine? So he gives her like a full moon situation. They're giggling and having fun. I don't know if that's my idea of fun, but for them, it seems to be working. Now they're holding hands. It looks like it's the evening. He's taking her back to her room. She thanks him and they keep giving each other cute little pecks. And she keeps counting the pecks and he's just happy each time he gets another kiss. So then he's like, one more for the road. So she kind of gives him a long kiss goodnight. And he leaves at that point in time. That's good, Sophie. Don't let him in the room. Don't let him in. Not yet. Anyway, she's like, well, Pedro's hot. He seems like a nice guy. She's like, finally, this is kind of what I've been looking for. So hopefully this thing works out. And I'm like, thank God. Hopefully it does work out for her. But also, Sophie, just try to grow up a little more in your approach as far as I understand the pressure situation. But you just gotta grow up a little more. And I'm glad Julia was there to help you out. And Pedro, he can grow up some as well. Sometimes us ladies have to take the lead in certain scenarios. Kind of like what Natalie did. But she found out the truth about Gino, and it was something that she didn't want, but now she knows she can walk away. And with us ladies, sometimes we have to kind of step up and take the lead in certain ways. And she kind of did that as she was trying to put her best foot forward with Pedro. So I wish them the best. Don't want to see another Rob situation with her. All right, Colt and Courtney closing out with these guys. You know, he apologizes for breaking her heart. He hates to see her crying. And, you know, she said she thought that he was her happy ending and he kind of ripped her whole future away. Now, when she found out that he was into other women and chatting with other women, saying he loved other women online. And he's like, well, forget me, I've done enough damage. And he squeaks off in his wheelchair, which made it even sadder. And she's like, do you need some help? He's like, no, I don't need any help. Just forget me and all of that. And he keeps squeaking off in the wheelchair. And it's kind of, the sound is kind of making me laugh, but it's also kind of making me think about the sadness of this man in this sad squeaking chair. And, you know, she ends up going to help him. And I think he asked for forgiveness, but she says she's not sure that she can do that. But he says he's not sure anyone could love him forever. And that's one of his issues. When it comes to loving someone forever, he's not sure if he can be loved forever. They hug each other. She's helping him and she gets him back into the room and all that stuff. And she's kind of torn in her feelings. She says as a friend, it's hard to see him struggling like that. And a part of her wants to help, but she knows the other parts is that he's going to manipulate her and probably use her even further. So she just decides to leave. And I said thank you. It was an amicable goodbye. There was some hugs. There was nothing further than that. It was like she really cares about him as a person, but she feels like she knows that he can manipulate her back into this relationship. And she knows when to walk away. So I'm seeing some smart ladies here with some smart moves. And hopefully they stay smart. Vanya, I think she was a bit pushy in her situation. So hopefully that doesn't backfire in her face. But I think this was a pretty decent episode of 90 Day Single Life. What are you guys' thoughts, comments, questions? Let me know. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. Or you can always stop at the website and check us out on our other platforms. Go to cbiztvmedia.com and we will talk again, guys. More faith, love, and trends. This is Irene. All the best and God bless.